Turkey is now host to more than 144,000 new Syrian refugees who have fled Islamic State battles in the past week. Some have relatives now fighting for IS. CCTV's Michal Bardavid is at the Syrian border in Turkey. And Michal, have you been able to talk to any of the IS fighters' relatives? What has been their reaction?
Yes, Elaine, we've talked to several IS fighter relatives. They're very emotional. They're very disappointed with their family members who have joined Islamic State. They want to distance themselves as much as they can. Let's take a closer look at some of the IS fighter relatives who are here in Turkey. Thousands of Syrians have joined Islamic State, or IS, abandoning their family. Those who are left behind are faced with the reality and challenges that their relatives are now part of a brutal and extremist organization. Many feel shame, fury, as well as fear for their own lives. They want to be heard, but are afraid of the consequences. After all, they have all watched the recent public beheadings of journalists by Islamic State, as did millions worldwide. IS is also known to target children as new recruits. This man, who preferred to stay anonymous, has 8 relatives who joined IS, the youngest one being 14 years old. He shares with us the inhumane training he secretly witnessed as young children were trained by Islamic State militants.
The training IS uses with children is like torture. They train them to resist the cold, resist hunger, and resist physical pain, like crawling 100 meters on rocks with bare feet and hands. This training would even be considered torture for adults. By doing this to children, it is real torture.
Being a relative of an IS fighter is extremely difficult. Family members who at first desperately tried to convince their loved ones not to join the extremist group have not only given up on them, but now also see them as the enemy.
After all this time, if my relatives leave IS and return to us, we will kill them. They have 2 choices. They will either stay with IS and die with IS, or they will return and be killed by us. Either way, they are dead.
The intensity of the war in Syria can be felt in every word of those directly affected by the crisis. With an ongoing operation led by the US and rapid advancement of Islamic State, it is certain that there will be a lot more suffering. Certainly, we are expecting to see a lot more suffering for the Syrian refugees and for the IS fighter relatives who are here in Turkey. Elaine?
And I understand there's been a lot of action there near the border. Can you tell us what's been happening there today?
Yes, well, fighting took place very close to the Turkish border today. In fact, 2 shellings did land in Turkish territory, scaring some of the locals who are there, prompting them to leave that area. Also, a protest took place at the border. Some Syrians who wanted to return back into Syria and join the fight against Islamic State were not allowed to do so, at which point they threw some stones at the police officers who were there, who responded with tear gas and water cannons. In the midst of all that chaos, some Syrians were able to go back into Syria. Elaine?
All right, Michal Bardavid at the Turkey-Syria border.